Hello and welcome to Developer Week Global Cloud 2021. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of today. It's just Mr. Andrew Speed. He's the staff software engineer at Cloudsmith. He'll now be joining me on screen. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to our session today on CloudNative pipelines. We're going to be looking at secure software delivery, making it made simple. So just to cover what we're going to be going over today, we're going to be looking at what a CloudNative package management solution is, what the advantages of CloudNative package management solutions are. Then we'll be looking at getting started with a CloudNative solution, specifically Cloudsmith. And we'll be looking at multi-format repositories where you can upload multiple package formats into a single repository. We're looking at access tokens. You can restrict access based on certain criteria you find on packages. And also looking at some reporting statistics that we make available as well. And then finally, we're looking at continuous packaging, a term we've coined, how that fits into your existing CI and CD process and how it can easily slot in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat as we go along, and we may have time for some Q&A at the end, or you can feel free to chat to us at our booth afterwards as well. And special welcome to anyone who attended my colleague Dan's sessions yesterday as well. So a little bit about me. As Marcus said, I'm a staff engineer here at Cloudsmith. Been here close to 2 years now. Mostly work on the back end side of technology, but also work on some customer support issues as well. So if you ever come and chat to our Cloudsmith support team, you like speaking to engineers or developer or DevRel team who built the platform and know it inside and out. Our biggest wins so far are, or my biggest wins so far, I should say, sorry. Some things I've implemented at Cloudsmith in my time here have been support for CocoaPods. So that's if you're building the iOS apps, that might be the package manager you're using. Our support for the Terraform private module registry. So if you're writing a internal Terraform modules and want to distribute those to your internal team or to your customers, you can use Cloudsmith for that. And also SAML login enforcement. So if you use a tool like, say, Okta or ADFS, you can use that with Cloudsmith as well. And we have an option there that allows you to enforce that for your organization as the only login method. So your users have to log into that method. Just add a bit more security and enforce that. A little bit about Cloudsmith. We're a continuous packaging platform. You can get started with us in about 60 seconds, as you'll see in our demo later on. We allow you to create a secure cloud-native universal artifact repository in about 60 seconds. We can use us to upload a lot of different package formats. We support over 24 different package formats at the moment. We're constantly adding more. We have over 225 points of presence globally. As I said, we offer 24/7 support from our engineering and DevRel teams. And along the bottom there, you can see some of the customers who are already entrusting us with their distribution to either customers around the globe or their teams who are distributed globally as well. So first of all, we're going to jump into what CloudNative is and what the advantages are of our cloud-hosted solution. So cloud-native applications are fully managed in that you just come along, sign up, use the service, and get started. They're built ground up for global distribution and scaling. Whereas a cloud-hosted solution is something that maybe used to be deployed on-premise, but you've taken and deployed into the cloud under, like, say, AWS, it's EC2 instance or something in GCP. Main advantages here of cloud-native over cloud-hosted are that cloud-native solutions are hosted, maintained, and maintained for you, whereas a cloud-hosted solution you have to host, maintain, and set and configure yourself. So yeah, cloud-native solutions are turnkey. You just come along, get started, and you don't have to worry about scaling or availability issues. That's all handled for you by a cloud-native application. So yes, as I've said already in the previous slide, scaling is handled for you by cloud-native as well as distribution, so and maintenance as well. This allows you to just offload a lot of the burden of having to figure out how you're going to store your packages securely, build a pipeline around them, and then figure out how you're going to distribute that to people around the globe, things like access controls, and also keeping an eye on monitoring and statistics for downloads and things like that as well. Cloud-native solutions just give you that as soon as you come along and get started with them. This allows you to take time and just focus on the product that you're building and not have to worry about how you get that out to your customers. So next up, we're going to look at what things you should look for when choosing a cloud-native package management solution. First of these is, it should be easy to get started and sign up. So you should be able to sign up for an account and get immediate access and get hands-on with the tool. None of us like come along and having to provide our details and then get say someone will come along from the sales team and speak to us and we'll get in content, maybe a demo after a day or two. Next thing here is really well documented, robust features. You want to be able to dive in and get hands-on with the product. It should be easy enough to get started with. It should handle a lot of the edge cases around different package formats and how they get distributed to customers, and integrate with different tools and package managers that are available. And also then, if there are any quirks or edge cases that can't automatically be handled, they should be well documented as well, so that you're made well aware of them. The third thing to look out for is a robust API as well. Reason for this is that every organization is going to be different. Everyone's pipeline is going to be different. And you want your tool to slot in as easily as possible. And what you need to do is, if there's not native integrations available for tools you're already using, you want to be able to make the tool fit into your pipeline rather than you having to adapt your pipeline to fit the tool. And then lastly, responsive support whenever you need it. So, everyone's build and release pipeline is crucial to their organization if you're shipping software. And when something goes wrong, you want to be able to speak to someone quickly about what's going on and know that they're going to be able to help you to resolve the issue as fast as possible. Because any disruption, is serious for everyone, any organization. So what this looks like in terms of integrations, primarily, the thing you need to look for primarily is support for the different package formats you're using. Well, that's something more common, like say Maven or NuGet or I don't know, Terraform, for example, or maybe something a little less common, maybe say like Rust with Cargo. But in addition to that, you also want integrations with tools that you're using, as I said previously. So that's in your CI and CD tools like Circle CI, GitHub Actions, or Jenkins and on-prem instance, all the way through to deployment infrastructure, tools like Terraform, Chef, or Puppet. Good integration with those tools is key, as you want to be able to get your software into your solution and then also out of it to be deployed wherever you need it to be. And then in addition to that, you might want integrations as well with security tooling, such as say Snyk for source code scanning, or things like Datadog or Slack if you want any notifications and observability into your pipeline as things progress through it, so you can keep an eye on the health of things and see if anything's if there are any problems occurring in say your build process or deployment process. The term we've coined at Cloudsmith for automating the whole process is called continuous packaging. In summary of that really is, it's the art and science of continuously building packages and containers to securely automate software pipelines. And what that would look like is something like this. So as you can see on the left and right, you've got your familiar CI/CD process. On the left, you've got the code being written by your developers and being pushed into your source control, and then your CI process taking that, building it and uploading it into your continuous packaging pipeline into, say, your storage solution, such as Cloudsmith. And once it gets in there, you're isolated from any upstream third parties. So that isolates you from upstreams such as, say, PyPy or npm.js or any other upstreams you might be using. So you know exactly what is going into your software and the things that are being used to build it. Once it's in there, the tool should also be scanning and verifying it, such as through checksums or GPGs with signatures. And then maybe also performing some, say, vulnerability scanning as well. And then once you've got all that information, it should be made available to you as well, so you can then go ahead and gate your release on that information to determine whether you want to go ahead and release the package out to, say, whether it's your internal teams or external customers. And then if you're happy to go ahead and release that, it should make it incredibly simple to deliver that to your customers or teams wherever they are. And that's done through a CDN, or what we call Cloudsmith, our Package Delivery Network, PDN. So main three things to take away from this are that you gain from continuous packaging are provenance, in that you gain a chain of trust from your developers into your CI process, your packaging solution, and then from there out to your customers or teams. You gain isolation in that you get control and visibility into what is going into your software and where it's coming from. And then package delivery, in that it simplifies how you take your software out of your package delivery system, or package storage solution, I should say, and then getting it out to the people who should have access to it. So the next thing we're going to look at is a demo of Cloudsmith as this package management solution. So we're going to first take a look at how easy it is to get started with Cloudsmith by creating an organization and a repository. We'll then look at a couple of different use cases. The first one specifically looking at distributing to customers using entitlement tokens, which are these sort of access tokens that you can then apply additional restrictions to. And then looking at distributing to internal teams using our Cloudsmith access controls. So I'm going to switch over to my other window here. I'm currently logged in to an account I created earlier. You see I've got an organization created already, which we'll look at a little bit later on. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new organization just to show you how easy that is, first of all. So I'm going to go ahead and call this one graphic example. As you can see, I've run through this a couple of times already. Whenever you're creating an account, you can opt into a paid trial. And what that does is that'll give you a 14-day trial of Cloudsmith and puts you under our team plan, which is the lowest plan, but you can change between different tiers to try out different feature sets and see what works best for you. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Gonna have a good drink of water while we're getting prompted for a password here, and that's because I'm going into a sensitive part of the application for this organization. So I'm just going to throw a password in there. We do that every now and again just to make sure that you are who you say you are. So you can see I've created the dev week example organization. So now I've got the dev week example organization. I'm going to create a repository to store our packages. And I'm going to call this one, let's say, dev week test. Whenever you're creating a repository, you can choose the storage region that your packages are going to be stored in. By default, those go into our Dublin, Ireland region, but you can change it to, say, somewhere in Germany, Canada, or the West Coast of the United States if you need to for compliance or performance reasons. I'm just going to leave it as the default for now. And you can also choose a few different repository types. By default, for paying organizations, this goes into private repositories, so these aren't visible to the public. But you can choose public or open source repos depending on what the project is. If you want to just make some, say, documentation available publicly, you can put it in a public repo, or if it's an open source project that your company supports, you can put it in an open source repo as well. So I'm going to create a private repo here. And now I've created that. This is us inside the repository view. So that's how you can get started with Cloudsmith. You just go in, create an organization, create a repository, and get started. So if I wanted to upload, say, a Python package, I can just go in through the UI and do it that way. So I'm going to upload a Python package I created earlier. I'm going to go take a look at the information that comes out of that once it gets uploaded. So what we're doing here is after it gets uploaded to Cloudsmith, it will get processed for metadata, as well as version information, dependencies, and a variety of different things. Every package format is slightly different in how this is handled and what information is available, obviously. But once if I refresh the page, it should have finished processing. So you can see we've pulled out things like license information, the size, version information, as well as additional metadata information down here. So if there's dependencies and things, they'll show up down here as well. And inside each package, we also have the contextual setup documentation. So this is documentation that changes based on what the package is to show you how to get set up with the package manager that, appropriate to that format, as well as things like authorization information, which you can change down here. So you can use, say, entitlement tokens, which we'll cover in just a second, or just using your password access as well, whatever works best for you, your use case and workflow. Now, obviously, creating repositories manually, that works, but that can be a bit painful. So I'm going to jump back to our main example here. So currently in this dev week global organization up here, I've got 3 repos already. I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can use Terraform with Cloudsmith to create a 4th repo automatically. So I've got some configuration here. Oops. So this is our Terraform. This is our Terraform provider for Cloudsmith. It interacts with the Cloudsmith API to create different resources. This is a simple example where we're passing in the Cloudsmith API key, which you'll use to interact with the API. We're then instantiating the provider with that API key. And then here we're referencing the namespace or the organization that we're going to create the repository in. So that's our Dev Week Global 2021 organization, which is this organization here. As you can see, however, that's the slug for it there. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new repository called demo example. And just give it a short description in slug. There's other configuration options you can pass in. Obviously, this is just a simple example. So if I go ahead and apply this. If you've used Terraform before, this will look very familiar. So it's telling us it's going to create a repository and all the additional information we specified already, such as the description, name, slug, and private repository type by default. So if I go ahead and create that. And if we go back to my browser tab, you can now see we've created another repository called demo example. And it's the exact same thing as the one I created through the UI. It just means you can automate a lot of this and take a lot of the pain out of it, as well as maintain it through Terraform over time as well, rather than worry about changing configuration manually. So that's the first part of our demo. Next thing we'll look at after I take a quick sip of water is our distribution example. So this is what repositories can look like. Our repositories all support all of our different package formats in a single repository if that's what you want, or you can separate it out by format or by team or by product, whatever it is works for you. Now in this fictitious example, I've got a company who's going to has 3 different packaging tiers. So there's a free tier, a pro tier, and an enterprise tier. And I've tagged all the packages in this repo with that. So I've got 5 different package formats here. And I've uploaded each package 3 times and tagged them differently. So there's a free tier, a pro tier, and an enterprise tier for each one of them. What you can do to allow access to these packages is use what we call entitlement tokens. Entitlement tokens can give conditional access to packages. So by default, an entitlement token will give access to everything in a repository, but you can restrict that further. So I'm going to create a token called free. That's going to enable access to our free tier packages in the repository. So if we look under visibility restrictions, you can then restrict the token by a variety of different options or attributes on the package. So that could be things like the package name, file name, tags that you can apply yourself, or tags the system will apply automatically for you, architecture, version, etc. Whatever it is fits your use case. Just for this simple example, I'm going to use the free tag, which I applied myself. Other options you can as well restrict on are things like timestamps as well. So you can say allow people to download things for say 14 days if you want to give them a trial of your product or something like that as well. I'm going to go ahead and create this token. So I've now gone ahead and created this free token, and that should restrict access to only packages with the tag free applied to them. So to show you what that would look like and make sure that actually does work, our search toolbar up here allows you to pass in an entitlement token identifier, as you can see here, to see what that would give access to. So I do entitlement and then paste in the identifier here. You'll see that we've only got access to packages with the free tier, or with the free tag applied to them, sorry. And again, you can apply this further. We support full Boolean logic in the search as well, so you can restrict it to say formats or format blocker, for example. Very flexible and can fit a variety of use cases. A lot of our customers are using this in a variety of different ways to fit their use case and workflow with their customers. Again, obviously though, creating these manually could be painful, especially if you've got a lot of customers who each get their own entitlement token. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and then go through Terraform and create the 3 tokens in an automated process. So again, you can manage them through that as well. So we're going to a different repository here and show you the configuration. It looks very similar. We're pulling in the Cloudsmith provider, API key, and instantiating the provider with the API key. We're referencing the organization it's part of, and then also the repository that the entitlement tokens will be stored within. You see here we've got a free entitlement, a pro entitlement, and an enterprise entitlement. And those are all tagged with the appropriate tags as well. So exactly the same thing as I did through UI, just doing it through Terraform. And if I go ahead and apply that, we'll again get the output saying what it's going to be creating. So I'm going to create an enterprise tier entitlement, a free tier entitlement, and a pro tier entitlement. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that. Okay, so those 3 are created. And if I refresh the page, yep, there they are. So same thing again, manage it all through an automated process rather than having to do it manually yourself. And then the last thing we want to look at, I think, is our team-based distributions. So whenever I created this organization, I can go into my Dev Week Global 2021 example. The user I'm currently logged in as is the Dev Week Global user. But I also created this Ops and Dev team user just as examples. And under teams, we also allow you to create teams within Cloudsmith just for access control reasons. So it allows you to group users together who should all have the same permissions, so you can apply globally to all of them at once rather than do it manually on a per user basis. So in the development team, I've got the dev team user, and under operations team, I've got the ops team user. If I jump back to our organization, you'll notice I've got a development repository and an operations repository. And each of those have been given under access controls. The appropriate team has been given access to that repository. So the development team has access to our development repository, and our operations team has access to our operations repository. I'll just show you that to confirm now. Yeah, perfect. So then if I jump back to my command line here, the Cloudsmith CLI allows you to interact with Cloudsmith in a lot of different ways. One of the ways you can do is you can list other repos you've got access to. So as the dev global user, the owner API key I was using to apply with Terraform, I've got access to all their repositories because I'm the owner of those organizations, so I have full access to all of them. But if I change that to, say, our dev team API key, and I've got access to only our development repository, and same again for our ops team as well. So yeah, this gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of who should get access to specific repositories, whether you want to apply that on a global basis, or you can as well in our access controls jump in and look at adding specific users down here as well. If you want to add groups and then give individual users from that group greater permissions, for example. So I think that's all three parts of our demo that we covered that we want to look at today. So I'm going to jump back to our presentation. Other things we give access to as part of Cloudsmith are download and usage statistics. So for each repository, you can go in and get a breakdown of a month, on a daily breakdown on the download counts of packages that happened, as well as how much bandwidth was used by them, and the package formats that are getting the most downloads as well. So this is just a very very handy at a glance information to see what are your most popular packages or formats. We also get more detailed information through the UI as well, so you can get things like specific package files that got downloaded, because a package can contain multiple files, as well as the IP address it came from, entitlement tokens that were used to download it, and then we also offer the ability to export this information directly into an S3 bucket as well. If you want to integrate with other tools and then play around or analyze with the data yourself in other ways as well, you can do that too. So companies currently using Cloudsmith for continuous packaging, two examples are FontAwesome and Carta. Those fit our examples we gave earlier pretty well. So FontAwesome are using us for global distribution to customers around the world of their software, and Carta are using us for internal teams. I think the main takeaway for both of those companies was that it just offloads a lot of the operations work and maintenance of a package management solution away from your company, so you can focus on building the product that your company's focused around, rather than having to worry about the minutiae and details of package management and other different package formats, as well as scaling around that as well. So if you wanted to get started with Cloudsmith, there's a few different avenues you can use. You can go and check out our docs at help.cloudsmith.io, and that goes into detail on all the different features that are available on Cloudsmith. We've also got a YouTube channel where you can go and watch videos from my colleague Dan, who does deeper depth coverage of individual features within Cloudsmith and examples of how to get started with them. Or as you saw, you can jump in and start a free trial straight away with Cloudsmith to see how a CloudNative pipeline would fit in easily into your existing CI and CD pipeline. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them now or come along and chat to us at our booth. I'm happy to give out demos there as well. And we also have a survey going on at the moment, the first 100 respondents, which will win an Amazon gift card. So please feel free to take that as well. I'll take any questions you got now. I think we've got about a minute or so. If not, happy to chat to you further at our booth. Okay, doesn't look like we've got any questions at the moment, so I think we're going to call it there. Thanks very much for coming along, everyone. If you have any questions or want to get another demo of the product, please do come along to our booth and speak to us there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andrew, for a great talk today here at Developer Week Global Cloud 2021. Attendees, please navigate to the next available speakers on the session tabs to your left. Thank you.